Congratulations to Easton Fothergill for winning the 55th Bassmaster Classic. Today, Trey and Pete and we're going to talk about it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's going to be a bad day.
What's going on?
Oh, you threw us for a loop there.
I did. Well, I took off the intro today.
I was still going to stare lovingly in the face.
It's been a while. But welcome back to the OneCast, folks. We're sitting down here. We're going to talk about the Bassmaster Classic, our Super Bowl of bass fishing, or it has been for the last 55 years. Easton absolutely dominated that event, winning by almost 8 pounds. But a very good event. Fishing-wise, I think we've got some interesting thoughts maybe about some of the tangential issues around it, but
Absolutely.
We'll probably dive into that a little bit. But before we do, we'll do our shameless plugs here. So go over to OneCastFishing.com, pick up those snagless jigs, those Nighthawks. This is the time of year to be flipping around, picking them off beds. Excellent baits for that. Both Trey and I caught them on the Nighthawks yesterday. So about a 5-pounder and a 3-pounder. So make sure you go to OneCastFishing.com, use the code TheOneCast, save a little bit of coin, and get stocked up. And then while you're doing that, or right after that, actually, make sure you get your baits first. Go on your phone, download the Deep Dive app. This time of year, we've got a lot of rain and wind coming in our lakes. It's springtime. It's March, going into April. We saw the Bassmaster Classic to win. Lake gets blown out a lot. A lot of water colors get moved around with all the runoff. You're in North Carolina. A lot of pollen in here too. But pull out that Deep Dive app. It's got water clarity features, inflows, wind effects. So you can actually plan your fishing trip before you get out there, identify the potential key areas, or just make adjustments on the water.
That's right, Ben. And while you're online, head on over and see our partners at Carolina Waters, CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word at checkout. Get your hands on those hats, those net gaiters, the UPF shirts, the gloves. They got that new double stitch glove that they came out with, which is phenomenal. They also got that buck stopper shirt too. I know turkey season's right around the corner, so you need to get, if you're looking to blend in the outdoors, get yourself that buck stopper shirt for turkey season, and show those guys some love. Where else they need to go, Pete?
Click the link, Hobie Hour, or go to hobiehour.com if you don't want to save money. If you do want to save money, use the link, grab yourself some of the floating frame sunglasses, Sightmaster Pluses. We've talked at length about them. Not going to go into it. If you're not going to buy any other pair, buy one of those. It will give you the competitive advantage just because of its low light abilities, and you can still see them when others can't. So hobiehour.com.
I do want to say this. I don't want to drag this out, but I yesterday went outside. Bass was pulling up, about to make a bed, where he started making his bed behind my house.
Look, this bass that he's talking about is
the
first bass in North Carolina to make a bed every year. Because every year he's back, and he's right in the same spot every year.
What's his name, first of all?
I haven't named.
You should definitely name that one.
Steven.
Yeah,
sounds like a great name. Every animal, when you first name him Steven.
We should see if Seth can give us a tag and really see if it's the same bass.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
That would be awesome.
Back to Hobie.
Anyway.
But anyways, he was pulling up yesterday. Out there is a lot of pollen in the water right now. And of course, I'm walking along the bank there. I got my Sightmasters on. I spot them. I see them. I took my Sightmasters off. You couldn't even see the bed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just
wasn't there.
You couldn't see it at all. So definitely essential. And then the one I caught was on a different bed, and I was able to back up pretty far away and still be able to see them. So I had to say that because I put them to use yesterday. And
absolutely.
They definitely work.
Yeah, they're the best. And when you're done buying all your stuff, buy you a house, because everybody needs to move to North Carolina. Not really, but you can definitely move here, because Terry would be happy to help you find your dream home. That's Terry Carpenter, licensed NC Realtor at Coldwell Banker, Howard, Perry, and Walton. He's hanging out. If you're watching on video, he didn't want to talk today. He just wanted to see how we do things here in North Carolina. But now that we know his history with Falls Lake and stuff, we're going to have to bring him back and just hear about the good old days one of these episodes. So back when they were still filling that lake in. But yeah, make sure you check out Terry, licensed NC Realtor, Caldwell Banker, Howard, Perry, and Walston. He'll help you find your home, your piece of property. PCS season's coming. I know some of you are coming here to the largest Army base in North America. It's still the largest, not second.
It's the second.
No, they listed as the largest by personnel.
Oh, by
It's
personnel.
not the largest by land mass, yeah. Right. But the most people here. So somebody listening to this is coming, and Terry will find you your home. So Absolutely. Hit him up. He's familiar with the area down there around where I live. It's nice and convenient to the base.
Or if you're leaving.
Yeah, if you're leaving and you need to sell, hit Terry up.
Yeah.
You can get him at carpentert@hpw.com. His link tree is linked in our link tree, so you can go in there and get all his other contact detail information. Make sure you reach out to reach out to Terry and make your dreams come true. I was trying to say Terry and make your dreams come true, and it came out Tari. So we're professionals.
Yeah, man, it's hard out there. The hustle's hard out there, man. Like anytime that we're telling you guys to reach out to these companies that support us, or reach out to Terry, who's going to find you that dream home, you might want to do it, man. Like save money, get yourself those network of people that's going to take care of you. And I did want to say something about Hobie. We're going to drag this out one more again. So I learned something about Hobie site masters too. Sometimes tournament directors blast you off when there's a fog. Okay. And you're thinking to yourself like, oh man, like there's no way we're going to blast off in this fog. Well, sometimes it blasts you off anyway. So if you got those Hobie site masters, they actually do help cut through that fog a little bit when you're wearing them, when you're running, right? So you still got to be careful. I wouldn't run 70 miles an hour down the lake in a thick fog, but Pete and I a couple weeks ago got blasted.
My eyes.
We got blasted.
Put her in Trey in God's hands.
Yeah. I was wearing my sight masters. I could at least cut through some of that fog and stuff like that. So there's a lot of safety involved. But those sight masters, man, they're phenomenal glasses, and we're happy to have Ben get all those Nighthawks stocked for us too, because Pete and I got the Fisherman National Championship coming up. So by the time
we're fishing day one right now.
Well, yeah,
while you're listening to
this,
that's how good we are.
Yep, and we're going to use our Hobies to lock in those fish. Hopefully, they're doing what we need them to do, and we're going to be using those Nighthawks, and hopefully, they're going to be eating those Nighthawks. They will. And Ben, you're absolutely right, man. I caught a 5.6 pounder. After a fish slapped at my buzzbait, and I took that Nighthawk in there. I did dip just the tail or the back of the appendages in red, and I don't know if that mattered really. I think it was low light conditions. Flipped it in there, and that line comes swimming out. And someone else was using a not Nighthawk in front of me and flipped the same exact laydown and didn't catch anything. Right, so. Head on over and use that code like we talked about.
And that pearl one is one I used yesterday. And Pete, you're right. Pete helped convince me to do the pearl color.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for a chatterbait, buzzbait, swim bait, but for flipping a bed, that bass first picked up the snagless jig, and I mean, I hammered it home, set the hook, and I almost took my eye out.
Good thing you're wearing your Hobies.
Yeah,
and I kept messing with them, but I wanted a little more visibility on my bait. So I took out the flipping stick I had from Florida, ripped off the South African special, and put on that pearl and picked it up and put them in a boat. So, but I was able to see the bait a lot better on that bed.
Oh, you didn't do it from? Oh, yeah, because
the other good thing about that flipping rod he uses, the braid on there is 942 years old. It's been on there since he bought the rod. It was his grandpappy's braid.
No, it was only like 17-pound fluoro.
It's 17 pounds strand monofilament.
Yeah, from 1993.
Don't matter. They're on a bed.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm just busting Ben's chaps because he leaves stuff tied on and just throws it. And
listen, we were talking. Yeah, we got Terry sitting in here. He's not going to talk like we said, but I was talking to Terry earlier, and I was like, man, I caught a 5.5 pounder on Ben's private lake that he lives on because he's super rich and stuff. And but Ben was like, hey, take that Pop-R and throw it over to that lily pad. I always catch one there, and I think this Pop-R maybe had 3 hook points on it. It was still tied on.
3 of 6 treble hook points.
I mean, half the paint's gone on it,
and I caught it. And I landed it. So, a lot of people gave Matt Robertson a lot of crap too when they went out through his boat a couple years ago because he still had like rusty hooks in there and all this stuff. But hey, man, I guess when you're on them, you're on them.
Yeah. That was a good pun there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How do we want to approach
what
the Bassmaster Classic?
Let's talk.
Do we want to talk the good, the bad, or the ugly? Do we want Pete to rant before we get anything?
How about we? Let's talk about the fishing first.
Yeah, let's talk about the fishing.
Because I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of coverage. I tried to, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I did a lot of thinking about it, listening to a lot of, reading a lot of other anglers and comments and stuff. Of course, everyone's making their own thoughts right now, and I probably got like 3 or 4 reasons why that ultimately was. I feel like it was kind of a lackluster event. Not the fishing per se, because I think the fishing. I mean, the weights were great for a classic. But yeah, we can get into that. So, we should probably talk about how it went down first.
Well, first of all, where was the classic at?
Lake Ray Roberts.
Lake Ray Roberts. And when was the last time a classic was fished on Ray Roberts?
I don't know if there's ever.
There was.
There was.
You're
going to tell us because you asked the question.
Well, I
He doesn't know,
actually
that's
don't
why he
know,
asked.
but I think
When Trey asked a question like that,
Was it like
that's how you know.
2010 or something like that?
I don't know, but Pete's gonna look it up
Just
here.
talk.
But Lake Ray Roberts does have Bassmaster history. But what really threw me off, and I think threw all of the anglers off there, was how crazy the weather was for Texas this time of year, right? They were absolutely freezing cold. They got crazy amounts of wind, and it changed the way that the anglers approach that body of water, right? Traditionally, this time of year, Ray Roberts would have been a true shallow water smash fest, right? Being able to get up there and do the good old Greg Hackney thing and flip a jig and throw top water. And we saw a little bit of that, but the fishing was different because of
What part of Texas is it in?
It was by Dallas, about an hour from Dallas.
So in reality, that should have been done by the time they got there, because typically those bass in Central and West Texas are spawned out before the end of
I
February.
mean, yeah, it's been a cold winter though.
They've had
it's
an
been cold,
extremely
yeah.
cold winter. Yeah.
So, and the other thing with the wind down there, because there's so much timber down there,
Mhm.
like it's still actually some of the anglers were talking, they think it's like lakes like that and Fork with the wind up so high because you have to run boat lanes and stuff, and you can't necessarily always position your boat the right way with the way. It's actually more dangerous than sometimes like on the Great Lakes and places,
Yeah.
you know, big water like that, because there's only some places you have to run a certain way
Right.
to get through those boat lanes with all the timber and stuff. I will say I was listening to I think Todd Castleines before. I usually listen to them and Ish and who else is on that? Andrew Upshaw and Pregnick, right? They always pick the opens,
Mhm.
or they do the fantasy fishing. So I listen to them before I do my picks and see which ones are smart and which ones aren't. But,
Yeah.
but their insights. But Todd was saying the whole time, like, because he's got a lot of history on that lake. He's like, that lake's not like Lake Fork. It's
Mhm.
not like Toledo Bend or why am I drawing a blank?
Sam
Rayburn, right? Even though there's a lot of timber and it looks kind of the same, like in my experience, they're like, and for every tournament I've ever done, they're like, you just don't go catch them everywhere. It's
Mhm.
not as easy, I guess is a way to put it, than some of the other lakes around there, for whatever reason that is. But in some way, he said it's going to be fishing kind of small, and it was definitely probably smaller with the wind and all
Yeah.
that. So, but with that said, there were some bags caught. I mean, there
Mhm.
were some bags caught, but you had guys in the top 4 or 5, I think, that even catch a limit all 3 days.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So from my understanding, Ray Roberts, like the big fan favorite moving into Ray Roberts was obviously
Lee
Lee Livesey, right? Being a Texan himself, has some history on that lake. I think he's won quite a bit of money, like locally on Ray Roberts. And I don't know if it's true. I think it might have been KVD who done something on Ray Roberts years ago, but I could be wrong too.
They don't make it easy to find the history.
They don't, but there's definitely some history there. But what I saw was a lot of live scope that played for this tournament due to the weather and stuff like that, and we'll get into that later. But one of the things that really surprised me was the people that didn't catch them. We saw zeros in this tournament. And
So
that
2021 was the only other classic there in Hank Cherry.
Oh yeah, Cherry won it. That's right. Cherry
That
won
was the
one.
second of his back-to-backs. He won that on a jerkbait. I remember that.
and he
Oh,
had
yeah.
50 pounds, 15 ounces.
Right.
And 4 years later, Easton's got 76, 15.
Yeah, I think they were during the classic. They
That was
had-
rescheduled though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one was COVID rescheduled.
So-
yeah, 2021. Yep.
Yep. So Matt Airy was going head to head with Hank Cherry in that classic. They actually had Matt Airy up talking to him, doing kind of like the footage and stuff like that. And but anyways, yeah, that's the history about Ray Roberts. But I thought it was interesting. So Cody Huff zeroed one of the days. Did he zero one of the days or 2 of the days?
Yeah, day one.
Yeah, day one
Killed
he
me in
zeroed.
fantasy because I picked him.
And it was like, holy cow, dude. Like,
A lot of people. I mean, Taku zeroed. Logan Parks had a 0.
mhm.
JT Tompkins had a 0.
Yeah.
There was a lot of one fish. Cooper Gallant had a one fish day. Robert Gee had a one fish day.
Jacob Fouts had 2 fish.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough.
So it was tough fishing overall,
But
right?
if you landed on them,
You landed on some absolute mega giants, right? And we saw that out of guys like Fothergill and
I know
McKinney.
Fothergill, Livesey, and I think one of the Johnson brothers maybe were all fishing in the same, like they were all within eye shot of each other, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. That was all I was going to say.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a live scope. It was a live scope deal for most of the guys.
Except for John Cox, who doesn't even have it on his
well,
boat.
I don't think Lee used it that much.
No,
he was throwing a
he was throwing
chatterbait.
a moving bait for the most part.
I think it was there was definitely
Shryock wasn't using
your moving baits played a role. Your chatterbaits, your bladed jigs, whatever, they played a role. Your forward facing sonar, jerk bait played a role. Your jig head minnow, your Nico rig.
I wonder, because you had guys like Lee and Hunter, and obviously John wasn't using live scope, but some of the guys at the top end,
Hunter wasn't using it. He was just flipping.
He was flipping.
And so like I wonder if the wind affected some of the guys from not using live scope.
Oh, I would almost certain it probably did. I mean, I think Trey McKinney day one, or maybe it was day two, or at the end of day one, his live scope went out completely.
Yeah.
And so he went straight to the bank and started flipping a jig and started flipping a bug around and stuff like that. So
he already had 26 pounds at that point, though, so he wasn't too concerned with the.
Yeah. So
yeah, and Fothergill, I didn't see much jig head minnowing. Fothergill did all his on the dang Nico rig. Trey McKinney's forward facing bait was a jerk bait.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just because of the way they were set up on those trees and stuff, that the minnow just didn't. I don't think it was as big of a factor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then John Cox, what an absolute.
Yeah, he's an animal.
That dude is just a different breed of angler. So he doesn't even have live scope on his boat and finished sixth.
Yeah.
Like 56-13. The cool thing, Fothergill had that last minute 8-pounder. I don't remember what that fish ended up actually weighing. But I put it in as 8 pounds. So I did the math. He still would have won had he not caught that fish.
Mm-hmm.
But he would have had 68-15. And Trey McKinney had 68.7.
Yeah.
So he would have won by 8 ounces.
Yeah. So when you talk about like lackluster, from in your opinion, like what was lackluster about it? I didn't think at the top the fishing looked great, but the fishing really wasn't that great.
So for me, when I say lackluster, I didn't feel the excitement around the event.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably like 4 reasons for this. One, the first is it's the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much negativity and division in the sport right now.
Sure.
With live scope and forward facing sonar, that the guys who were turned off of it, they didn't watch. They didn't really. I mean, they might check live or follow up, but like they weren't super interested in it. And of course, Bassmaster is the only tour to allow forward facing sonar for.
Before you go too far with that, though, did you see the viewership numbers? The most viewed Bassmaster Classic by minutes watched in the history of the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I do. They've been smashing records for 2 years. Like the people that don't like forward facing are vocal about it, but there's a lot of people watching it that like it because of it. It's gotten people into the sport.
I shouldn't say I don't believe the numbers, but I'm hesitant to fully, because anecdotally, like there's just so. And this goes into kind of the second. Another point is like, and I don't know what Bassmaster is going to release for the attendance, for the weigh-ins, for the classic,
didn't look
expo,
full.
But everyone who was there and commented and made videos, like the expo, the weigh-in, the launches, seemed to have less people.
Mm-hmm.
So
now,
did you know why that was though?
Well, there's maybe a couple of reasons for that. I will say, our expo this year, even though we had some weather issues up in Raleigh and stuff, it actually ended up not affecting it that much. It was down 24% this year.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
the economy's part of it, but in particular for this event, the expo was an hour and a half from takeoff. It was 30 minutes from the weigh-in stage.
Mm-hmm.
It was $15 to park for the expo. It was $35 to park for the weigh-in. So you had to go 100%. In there with the weigh-in, the money to even get into it.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
I think that was the biggest turn off for people.
I agree. The logistics of it, 100%. Yeah. And unlike 2021, when they were there, when you saw a lot of,
There
was a lot more people out doing stuff because
There was.
That was
just the way the world.
post-COVID.
Yeah,
You can't count anything.
yeah, exactly. So the economy, people aren't going, the logistics of everything being
Yeah.
separated, and also I will say, I think Trey Zaldane posted this today. There was no marketing for it. They're from the Dallas area. There was really no marketing, and Dallas is such a big place now. There's just so much to do, and so many conventions, and so many things coming in. If you don't market it, like there's less people, like your non-traditional fan who might come out and see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about it. So whether that's all true or not, but I think that contributed to it as well. Third was the coverage of live.
Yep.
And no one's happy with it. I think. I think we've talked about it a little bit this year. Like the live coverage in any of the Bassmaster events has not been great. They've had audio issues. They've had commentators always talking over people when they're catching fish. The anglers are explaining something. You've got some commentators on there that are being absolutely drugged through the coals. Because when you say things like, you just got to punch a football jig in hydrilla and things like that.
Somebody said that?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Apparently, this is the comments. He's like, did he really say? Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a clip of that yet. I feel like that would have got made.
And it's all over some of the forums and stuff. That was at the
Harris or somewhere.
Yeah, it was one of the Florida events. So the coverage isn't good. I think
maybe that was a secret, man. Maybe that's an inside secret. Is you punch with a football jig?
I mean, you can't.
I can't even say
you could.
Like a 4-ounce football jig.
I don't know how well that would punch through that big head. A 4-ounce football jig would be like that big.
It's going to get through something.
Be like trying to punch.
I mean, it'll go through, but you might knock the fish out when you hit it. But the
coverage is bad.
So the coverage, and then the other mass complaint is just the number of commercials they had.
Yes,
it was substantially more than what was noticeable in the past, and I think that turned a lot of people off. Now, why that is the case,
I can tell you why. In my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead.
They tried to do away with entry fees. They had to make up for that money somewhere. So they took more.
Not only entry fees, they ponied an extra $200.
They took more money to run more commercials.
And of course, their big talent retired.
Yeah.
And of course, Zona is very. He was great at what he did on the commentary. He knew the guys. He knew fishing. He was engaging. He's kind of got that radio type of commentating voice anyway. So
but he was there.
Yeah,
he did the classic. So
he made his comeback appearance.
Yeah.
After retirement.
So that's the first events. But if guys didn't know that,
you're absolutely right. Yeah,
and it's still the other issues of the live too.
I'm actually really glad Zona was there because he fishes, and I'm not saying the other commentators don't, but I
think one of them's a saltwater guy.
Yeah, so you got and I understand what you're saying. Like when you make. Listen, man, people are going to rip you apart on the internet if you make a mistake. It does not matter
100%,
what it is, right?
100%.
If you say you need to punch a jig using 20-pound mono, and then be like, what?
You can.
You can, right? But you're going to get ripped apart, right?
You're going to be ripped apart.
So I'm glad that Zona was there.
Cut a tree down with a pocket knife. Doesn't mean it's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and most, I don't think any professional angler is doing that. Anyone can go out there and do that and catch a fish. But so I think the coverage was a big negative portion. So all those factors involved, I just don't, it was just kind of lackluster for a Super Bowl event.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I'll provide my opinion, then we can jump over to Pete. So I didn't get to catch a lot of the classic. I watched more of day one than I did. I didn't watch anything on day two. Day three, I was definitely, tuned into the weigh-in and some of the coverage and stuff like that. But it was so. What is this new halftime show thing? I'm not a huge fan of this.
They're just trying to do something different.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah,
that's the other big thing. And I didn't watch halftime coverage because I seen it the other ones. Were they doing the flipping contest again?
I don't know.
No, they did something different this time. I kind of tuned it out, man. I see what they're trying to do, right? Like it's trial and error. They gotta try something different and stuff like that. Hopefully they listen to. Maybe I don't even know if the mass.
They won't. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's all. I promise you, that's all coming from somebody paying money.
Yeah. Well,
that's why there's a big progressive emblem on their flipping thing.
Well, it's silliness.
People, people are like super upset, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but like everybody, we try to remind folks all the time, it's a business. They have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just show 8 hours of fishing without commercials, without anything. So, I'm not too hard on them on that, but I think the coverage sucks. But they've got to make their money. I mean,
and this is because I think it's transition. Well, yeah, I mean, this.
Did you have more than just the coverage?
Well,
Sorry,
I mean, I
didn't
think the coverage was, you know, it is what it is. I'm not a huge fan. I've been saying it since the beginning. I don't really like to watch fishing. It's like watching the grass grow. A lot of times it's really not that exciting to me. There are some tournaments that I like to watch. I like to watch places like the Potomac River, the Sabine River. Yeah, I said it. I like to watch that kind of stuff.
There was nothing going on there. There's no fish catching.
Well, I mean, it's just shallow water fishing, right? Like to me, it's a little bit more fun. But I'm also a fan of watching it when you do have live scope or forward facing sonar pulled up on the screen and you're watching what the anglers are looking at. Like I like to see that stuff, but I'm trying to educate myself while I'm doing it, right? I'm not really looking for massive entertainment watching fishing, right? Hopefully I'm getting something from it. When I watch a football game, it's straight up entertainment because you know what I mean?
Yeah. And most guys who like for watch fishing, we're looking to see what they're doing, what the conditions are, who's doing well and who's doing not. And I don't know this, Pete, maybe, you know, do they have less camera boats this year? Less cameras?
They still have the top 10, whatever it is.
No, but more than that and moving around. My question is
you mean like the cameras that are in with boaters, but can't like external camera boats?
And stuff.
I don't
because I like if they have to cut expenses, and that's why some of the coverage said like you just have less, you see less out there.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe that is part of their business decisions and all, and we got to So, but it's just when you don't have a lot of eyeballs out there, right? You're missing a lot of activity, and so now you got a lot of dead time and doing halftime shows.
So I agree with everything that Ben said. The one thing the big positive I'll say, and Bass, if anybody from Bass is listening to this, and I know the top guys get the cameras all the time, but Lee Livesey is one of the best people behind the camera or in front of the camera rather. He's extremely entertaining. He talks to the audience. He cracks jokes. He was definitely fun to watch. And I'm really glad that he did well in this event. Watching him, you know, burn a bladed jig and beach his boat essentially and catch a fish on a buzzbait after he just missed it. He was like the only buzzbait fish in the classic from what I understand. Like he's really good on camera. So when they did have the camera on Lee, I really enjoyed watching it. Right. And that's a big thing too, as a viewer. And this is just my personal opinion. Like, I don't like to watch a person who's boring. It doesn't matter if they're scoping or not. If they're boring in front of the camera, then I don't really want to watch them, right? But a guy like Lee Livesey, who is just a down-to-earth dude, jamming some Whiskey Myers in the background, like I like watching that, right? So outside of that, I did see the excessive amount of ads. I agree with both of you. They got to do it. They got to make money. But it wasn't.
You don't have to like it though.
It wasn't a tournament. It didn't seem like a classic. It just didn't seem like one.
And I guess one other, like the energy that you would expect for the classic. This is some comments that I've listened to other podcasts with a lot of anglers on there, and none of these guys are elites, but they fish opens or they fish whatever the other ABAs, BFLs, you know, some of the bigger tours and stuff. And they've got buddies who fish the elites. What the impression that they're getting is that there's not a lot of excitement from the anglers right now.
Yeah,
it's like when you go to blast off and all, the impression that they had was that you've kind of got there's just not a lot of excitement. Like
they haven't been around very long because there hasn't been excitement at blast off for 20 years. These guys are just out. It's become such a job that I don't know where they got this thing that they thought dudes were excited, but I've been to a lot of blast offs blessed in my life in the last 10 to 15 years, and I've never seen any excitement from the anglers.
I feel like I'd have a smile.
So this is
here.
I mean, the rookies always do, but
they're talking about guys coming together, talking, joking, kind of releasing that stress. And everything's become more cliquey, is what they've said.
They shouldn't have done
because of that.
They should do away with the no information rule.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk because they're scared to death that they're going to hear the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, and that they're going to get DQ'd. Like,
yeah, it could be some of it.
That's but I mean, it's sort of since they started traveling in groups, I would agree. But like, you don't see as many guys hanging out. There's just a lot of divide in the sport in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was your overall take?
I watched 3.5 minutes of fishing.
Yeah.
I just happened to tune in to watch Livesey catch a buzzbait fish.
Yeah.
Just happened to be watching it, turned it on for like 8 seconds when I was doing stuff in the garage. And then I just happened to turn it on when Fothergill caught the 8-pounder at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 things I watched. I did watch the weigh-in. I don't care at all to watch fishing. It's the most boring thing in the world to watch, whether you have live scope or not.
To be honest,
I'm being 100% on it. It's super boring.
A lot of times I watch the weigh-in.
I like watching the weigh-in because I like hearing them talk. I like, you get to hear about the day. I could care less about sitting there and watching a guy. It's no more exciting watching forward-facing or I'm going to try not to rant yet. I'm saving this.
Hold on a minute.
But you're looking at an angler's back, whether they're flipping laydowns or they're staring at a screen. So it doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, well, they stare at you while they're flipping. No, they don't. They're still looking at whatever they're flipping at. So it's just not exciting to me. The coverage is terrible. It's been terrible for years at Bass. I haven't enjoyed watching Bass on TV since they did away with it as a production. When they used to record the day, show a little bit of live in the morning, and then they would show updates, bits and pieces, and they made a story out of it, and they built it up. That was when Bass was at its peak.
Yeah.
When we started going to this BS trying to watch fishing for 8 hours, it became super boring. Like, there's just nothing exciting about it.
I mean, you think of our fishing trips.
Yeah.
How many hours did we not catch anything?
For
I mean, it happens.
usually 6 to 7.
Yeah.
And then
Sometimes 8. Sometimes the whole 8 hours.
You catch 8 fish over the course of a day.
Yeah.
And it takes from catch to, it's 8 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is
not every tournament is a summer schooling frenzy.
Exactly.
How many guys work a bed fish in a derby for 45 minutes to 2 hours? You know what I mean? Milliken said this about the production, right? Milliken talked about this, about how like it's way too long. It's way too long to have.
Yeah, they killed it. And I think
8 hours, 6 hours.
I do think the halftime show could potentially be an attempt to break some of that up.
Oh, I agree.
But it's just bad.
And what they did, if they would have, instead of having the full day, the halftime show was basically everything that's happened until that point.
Yeah.
The story, I think it'd be a lot better.
Yeah.
Kind of a production thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe you do have some live coverage down below if you still want to do like a little corner box or whatever. But there could be a lot of.
So before we get into.
So the other stuff, just real quick, like the attendance was down, economy, division, all of that was a part of it. And it's also Texas. Like, no offense, but it's far for the majority of your fan base. It is far. And they're not going to waste time to go to Texas to watch the Classic. When I can go to Tennessee, I can take my family to Pigeon Forge. I can go to South Carolina. I can take them to the beach.
Yeah, but all those guys,
there's nothing.
Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana are not.
But they don't want to travel to Dallas, and they do. They come in droves to Tennessee because they take their family to Dollywood for a week. They take their kids to see the mountains that they've never seen. There's nothing appealing to anybody to go to Dallas.
They should have done the
nothing at all. Been there. It is outside of Houston. It is the second worst city in the United States of America. Maybe it's humid. It's hot. It's big. I hate that place. And I'm sorry if you like Dallas, you're cool. I do not like the city. Like, there's just nothing to do. It's giant. You drive for like 9 hours and you're still in Dallas, Fort Worth, and there's nothing but city.
There's
just really nothing to do
that you want to do, right?
But there's nothing that an outdoorsman would want to do that is there.
Saying. There's
like,
no outdoorsy stuff.
You can't go to the mountains. You can't go to the beach. You can't. There's just really nothing there to appeal for me to take my family on a vacation to go to the Classic, where I can convince my wife or significant other, my kids, to say, hey, the Classic's in Tennessee. And I'm not saying they need to hold it in Tennessee every year. I'm just using an example because we've seen how good everything works there, right? Let's go to Dollywood into Pigeon Forge Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we'll slide over here to Knoxville Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and check out the Classic.
You got Gatlinburg there too.
Gatlinburg's right there. There's Nashville's so much more to do. Nashville's only a couple hours, like 4 hours, I think, south of or southwest.
It's 2.5 hours.
Is it only 2.5? There you go. So there's a lot more to do to appeal people to come there, and so I think that was part of it too. And then the thing that killed it is you can't charge $15 to park at the convention and then ask people to drive 30 minutes and pay another $35 to park to get in the arena.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, why would I want to do that?
That's $30 right there. That I mean,
Knoxville, you can find a bunch of free parking. And if you can't, it was what? It was like $7 for the day.
yeah.
And you could walk to everything. You could walk to Blast Off. You could walk to the convention. You walk across the street and you're at the
I mean, there was a lot of people
weigh-in. You could
stay
ride the shuttle.
15, 20 minutes would just Uber or shuttle down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's the
Just
same
walk
in
around all day.
when the Greenville, when they were there last time for when they fished Hartwell.
The only
Like,
problem with that one is that
There was a
lakes-
drive from the Blast
Yeah.
Off to but the convention was like 10 minutes from the weigh-in
Mhm.
arena. They ran buses constantly. There's a ton of hotels. There's stuff to do for families. Again, there's areas down there that you could take your family. So it was easy to appeal to people to plan a vacation to go there. And it's like, I know there's a lot of anglers in Texas and Arkansas and those states. I'm not trying to take anything away from there, but the majority of your fan base that travels to these events is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like it's when they do their surveys and stuff, it's like from Maryland to Florida and west to like Tennessee is like your block there on the East Coast is where the majority of the traveling fan base that got. And I think they use a lot of like who's coming to do the marshaling and things like that. Like who's willing to travel to do
I mean, that's
that
true.
stuff.
And you look, most of the events like are in the Southeast.
Mhm.
There's a reason they don't go to California anymore.
So
And it's not just because the anglers don't want to drive that far. It's because you're not going to get anybody outside of California really to come to your event unless you're like diehard and you're like, I want to go to the Delta and see a bass tournament.
yeah.
But who wants to do that? Because you can't. It's not like you're going to go out there and fish unless you're Trey.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I'm
Like
fishing.
Trey's going to go out there and
I
cut
pay
off somebody.
taxes. Yeah.
But no,
Daggum
just kidding.
right.
But
You daggum right.
like
It's
you have to
just-
think about that when you.
It
look
just
at the
sounds
attendance.
like at the end of the narrative here is the venue.
And I'm sorry, all you Dallas.
The
people.
venue just
I don't
seems
like
like
your
it.
city.
The
It kinda-
venue is
The venue just kind of stank a little bit.
Yeah, I just think the logistics and the
Yeah.
setup was,
Yeah.
and I don't
But-
remember. It's hard to, and I know they went back there because they set the record in 2021 when they were there. They broke it in 2022 when they went to Greenville, to Hartwell. Then they went to Knoxville. They broke it. Then they went back to Hartwell, right? In 23.
no 23 was Knox.
And where was 24?
Was it Oklahoma last year?
Yeah, and that one was pretty
that was on
decent.
Grand, wasn't it?
Mhm.
That was pretty decent. But like they went on a 3 or 4 year stretch where they were breaking the attendance record. And they were like, well, heck, Texas started. Let's go back there. But a lot of companies and a lot of people forget the COVID factor. Like that was 2021. They delayed the whole season the year before. They moved the date of the classic because of it. People were chomping at the bit to go do anything that they could.
Mhm.
And Texas opened up their doors and let people go
Yeah,
back
exactly.
out into the world again. So of course that was an easy sell then. Like, hey, we haven't done anything in 6 months. Let's go to Dallas. Cool. Like, but now there's just not a lot of appeal for a tourist. And I know people are going to be mad that I said Dallas is terrible, but it's from a tourist standpoint. Like, I don't think Dallas is that appealing of a destination for a fishing tournament.
Yeah.
Like if you're going there to do like a Cowboys game, baseball games, all of that
Or a
stuff,
concert.
concerts, like it makes sense. But
Mhm.
for a fishing tournament like the Classic, it isn't a destination to me that was appealing.
That would have been something that I don't know if the Classic could have swung something like this, but getting like Jason Aldean or big country singers or something from the area to kind of come there and play at the Classic and maybe increase the attendance or something a little bit more. But, I think the future Classic, I think we just need to bring something here, and that way people come here and see how awesome it is and then get with Terry and buy a house and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
You're about to see it with the Pasca tank.
yeah, with the Pasca tank. So Terry's about to get a bunch
Now
of.
can I rant?
Well, let me tell you this before you rant, because that's all you like to do. Talking to our buddies at the expo, though, the expo was really good.
A lot of people had really good shows.
Yep, a lot of people had really good shows. Our friends from Missile were down there. The U.S. Army Outdoor Team was down there. They actually got slid into the Bassmasters. They had like a little segment with Ronnie Moore. They got on stage with Bill Dance and did a little seminar and stuff. Some of our other friends, they absolutely had a great time down there. And for the anglers and the vendors and stuff, it's a great networking opportunity. Obviously, Ben and my first time was Knoxville in 23. And then Pete, you've been to several before, but it's a great opportunity for people to get together. And man, there's a lot of good deals that are landed there too. Like some anglers like land sponsorship deals and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Getting-
you get a few for sure.
getting feedback from the expo was cool. And they also do other things besides the Bassmaster Classic. I think there's a Pro-Am event that happens, right? With celebrities. There's also,
and this was,
that wasn't hyped up at all.
That was not hyped.
That was not hyped up.
And this is my problem with that event, just like it was last year. Last year, you had Randy Moss fishing with Rick Clunn. Where was the coverage? Why is that not turned into a...
It's to try to get people to go.
Why is it not turned
Sponsors don't want to put it on TV, and Bass isn't going to fork the money over.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Stupid.
Yep, that's a stupid decision. Like, seriously, you could have got like someone...
but you got to make business decisions, man.
Yeah, well, you're in Dallas, Texas.
Does Bass invest their money in showing off a Pro-Am that, like, maybe half of their fan base is going to watch because the other half doesn't care at all about
it's not about our fan base.
Yeah, it's not about ours.
That's the point I'm making.
But I don't think you're going to attract. I don't think you're going to attract a huge number of NFL fans to watch Randy Moss fish.
No, not necessarily NFL fans. There's a lot of people who fish that know nothing about tournament fishing.
That's right. That's right.
They don't know any tournament anglers. They like to go fish. They may even have boats. They know all this other stuff.
And then all of a sudden they see their favorite celebrity. Oh my gosh, Jason Aldean. Oh my gosh, T Swift is out there.
Yeah, but there's hours of YouTube videos of those dudes all fishing with YouTube famous anglers. Like,
even so,
I just don't think I understand why there's no coverage. It's not a smart business decision. I wouldn't make the decision. It's not going to garner you anything. You're not going to get tournament angling fans out of it. You might get some inflated numbers.
Yeah. I
mean, you want to know who brought who gave a huge boost to tournament angling when they came over was Ben Milliken. They brought 1 million people that literally didn't care about tournament fishing. Trey McKinney, because he was a young kid, all the kids came over. I just don't. I get what you're saying.
I think it could. I think it could help. I mean, they haven't tried it, and they're trying other things like halftime shows and stuff like that.
Until a sponsor forks the cash over, they're not going to do it. They're not going to pay the money out of their own pocket to provide coverage to that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could get a sponsor, probably non-endemic, because they're getting visibility from people that aren't even connected to fishing, really.
Yeah.
If they're big enough celebrities, and you make an hour and a half long video that goes on YouTube, and
that could be a story, right? Like a 45-minute.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Not live coverage,
right?
No live coverage, but just a story of the event.
Yeah. Kind of how like the MPFL did with like First Forum, and they hosted like a small tournament.
And guys are out there talking. So you got these professional anglers out there talking to these celebrities and just having conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the podcast world.
You ain't gonna catch this in LA.
Like, podcasts have taken off because they just want people to have conversations and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so you kind of get that feeling on the water because there's no pressure. It's not a really big event. It's just out there for fun.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the what's that golf event at Toho? Not Toho, Toha. Over in
Tahoe.
Toha.
Tahoe.
Yeah.
Tahoe.
I didn't even know golf was still a sport.
Oh yeah, golf's got way more money in bass fishing than I'll ever have.
But it's just a big celebrity.
I'm just kidding.
Tournament, and some people are good, some people are bad, and it's just like. But it gets a lot of good coverage, and people are interested, and people talk about it just because these they're not random dudes.
We do need to bring some golf fans over into the bass fishing world.
So I will.
They like to watch super boring stuff on TV. So
they have a lot more money than we do. Bring them over.
If I could make one change to the Classic, which I think would help, make it like the Masters.
Yeah,
you win, you get an invitation for life.
Ooh, dang. That's a crazy one. You get a cool green jacket too
for another 322 years.
Well, so like the etiquette is in golf. Like once you're done competing, like you're 60, 70, or 80.
Yeah.
Competing. He's got all kinds of good words today.
Yeah. Once you reach like geriatric stage.
Competing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you need the senior tour, the senior master.
Yeah, you could have a senior masters, but like, so because there's been 55 classics. There's been 44 individual winners. A lot of those guys were requalified and stuff. So like, you're probably never going to have 100-person field.
Right.
And they're still going to, I mean, that's
Bass. Think about that for a minute.
Like giving it a lifetime invitation. Think about it. KBD would have been back. I mean, I don't know. I guess they don't want everyone back, but like a lot of these other guys are on different.
There's plenty of guys they don't want back.
Yeah.
But it would definitely bring a lot of eyeballs.
It could.
Yeah. Dang. Well,
I don't know.
We are all about building a culture of anglers, helping anglers here. And, one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the show was there's definitely some controversial things going on right now. And I know Pete is biting to get onto his soapbox.
Is he going to send us out with the rant?
I mean, I definitely have my opinion on it, but I want to let Pete.
No, go ahead. Let me close it out with mine.
Oh gosh.
So, or do you want to save it? Do you think I'm going to get it? You think I'm going to be mean or something?
I think I know what it is. Maybe.
Yeah.
So you're going to rant about people commenting again?
That's part. I mean, that's to be part of it. I'm going to rant about people being jealous and throwing it out there on the internet, making themselves look like.
Yeah. I mean, that was.
Yeah. So, you had this young man, right? I'll just kind of preface maybe the soapbox,
give your opinion. We can have a conversation.
So this young man, Easton Fothergill, who, changed his life in a matter of 3 days, who has been through serious trials and tribulations, from having, brain surgery to, taking that brain surgery and getting into the, college bracket and winning a college championship, and then, winning opens and putting himself out there and qualifying for the Elite Series and having 2 very tough tournaments his rookie year, and then wins the Bassmaster Classic, right? And it's not that the kid wins the Classic. It's not that the kid had brain surgery. It's not that the kid
broke the record,
broke Kevin Van Dam's record in a Classic in a 3-day, right? But substantially broke it, right? It's the fact of how he caught the fish, which are driving these ordinary men and women sitting behind their phones and keyboards nuts. And they decide yeah, sure. I mean, exercise your right, which we're doing right here on this show. And we welcome that, but, extremely toxic, divisive comments, and I'll say I made, I don't usually do this. Very rarely do I make a post on my social media page that is personally putting anything out there, but I did make one. And I asked people, I was like, to take away something so wonderful that somebody accomplished, saying that it never would have been won without this, and this is the end of the sport and all this stuff. Would you look at your son or your nephew or your cousin or your best friend? Would you take that moment away from them because of something that I just don't know how people look at it and say, I just can't get behind that. I don't believe in it. And it's just it's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's not unethical according to the rules and the regulations and state and federal law. But yet you want to take this moment away from a young man that has accomplished his dream.
I mean, it's the old adage, don't hate the player,
hate the game.
You can hate the game.
Right.
Don't start.
So the haterade was flowing the night of the Classic, and it really just got under my skin, and I made a post, and I know Rick Clunn came out officially and made a post, and Dustin Connell made a video talking about how divisive and everything is being, and so yeah, it was one of the ugliest things I've seen amongst the social media world, when a young man like that made his dreams come true. So that's what I have to say about it. People were being really ugly, man.
100% agree.
Good, man.
I mean, I don't have much as to add to that because I 100% agree.
I got a couple things. One, I'm going to correct something Trey said. Those aren't men and women. Those are children that are making those comments on the internet. I don't care who I upset. If you're going to go on the internet and talk about somebody's accomplishment, a lifelong goal like that, because you don't agree with the technology that was used, you're a child, grow up, go hug your mama or something, because maybe you didn't get enough hugs as a kid. There's a couple other things I just want to touch base on, talking to folks at the industry, at the show, forward facing sonar is dominating the industry, and it is going to kill the tackle industry. And that is from people that have a long time in the industry. It is hurting traditional tackle significantly. And it was noticeable at this Classic, to the point where people who don't typically say anything because of the business that they're in are saying things and are banding together to try to change the way people are viewing fishing, forward facing sonar, still using traditional baits. But it was apparently very noticeable in what the sales were. Well, the show was good. A lot of people sold a lot of product that was dominated by forward facing sonar, and it is impacting the industry as a whole. So that's an issue for them. But as far as the whole Fothergill thing, man, like y'all are just ugly.
Yeah.
Just don't be ugly, man. Like we talk about, and I've had sort of a sour tone this whole time, and that's why. Like it was so infuriating that night that the stuff people were saying about this kid, and it wasn't even just about him. It was about him. It was about Trey McKinney. There were people commenting negatively about the Army outdoors team. Like, what does fishing in the Army have to do with national defense? Some old Marine who I got in an argument with today, and he blocked me because I told him that they didn't have a recruiting issue 27 or 47 years ago when he was in, but they do now. And I guess he didn't like me calling him out, but like they're trying new things to recruit people. And that is it's a recruitment retention tool. Like there's an opportunity to do something and continue to serve your country and to help get younger generations into serving or people that might not be interested in. So like, it was just like everything.
Let me make something very clear here. You don't join the Army or the military to fish.
No,
it's not an MOS, a military occupational specialty. These guys are on a special duty assignment for a couple years. And then after that, they go back to doing their regular
marketing.
job.
it's
Just
marketing.
Just like
It's marketing and
Marines
recruiting.
sponsoring NASCAR when they used to
Yes.
do it, or any other sport or anything.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Golden Knights, those
The
guys,
Golden Knights,
they jump
the
out of
Marine
airplanes.
Corps has the marching band,
Right.
With the marchers that do the gun flip and stuff. I don't
silent
know what
drill
they
team.
call it. Yeah, drill team. That's it. Like
You know what drove me nuts the most? And Terry's gonna. I actually unmuted Terry.
Terry decided he wants
to jump in here.
boy.
You know, but let me ask you guys this question: if Rick Clunn, Kevin Van Dam, Greg Hackney, Lee Livesey, Edwin Evers, Ott Defoe, Andy Morgan, Mark Rose, the list goes on and on. If they would have won this classic, doing the same thing that Easton Fothergill did, do you think those comments would have been there?
Nope.
And see, that's the thing that's it's not only
it's before you go. They didn't make those comments when Jason Christie won.
I know, and
he was using forward facing to find those fish.
And so this is what would have happened. Oh, still dominated by live scope, but they finally caught up to these young guns and stuff, and they're just got all this, more experience and are better, which is, last year Bassmaster had a huge, I think, veteran versus rookie divide. At least that was the perception from like consumer watching time. Yeah, that's all true or not. But like, of every angler I've heard for Easton, they have nothing but
support.
Great things to say.
Absolutely,
good kid.
So, and that's what I wanted to highlight here. It's not only people making comments about the technology dominating the game. And hey, guess what? If you don't know how to use
dominates everything now.
It does, man. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, bro. Like that's how it works, right?
Don't bring a gun to a drone.
That's why I said, hey, watch the MPFL. They're not allowing that technology this year. They're a great organization, but it's almost like the hate against the youth, man. Like it's our job to grow the future, to set conditions for future, grow the sport, right? But then you see these young guns coming in and they're doing fantastic. They have a smile on their face. They're the only ones smiling at blast off, right? Because it's turned into a job. Don't try to kill that. Don't try to ruin that for them, right? It's not their fault that they come here better than you.
A lot of people, this is going to make some people mad, are very naive. And they forget that they're heroes like Kevin Van Dam, like Mike Iaconelli when he was winning everything. Go all the way back to the Roland Martins and maybe Bill Dance. I don't know if he did it. There was no such thing as a no information rule. Yeah. And every single one of those guys bought waypoints. They went on guided trips 2 weeks before official practice to figure out where the fish were. They used everything. It was pay to play, which is why a lot of the anglers complained and got the no information rule instituted, because the guys that weren't as fortunate financially couldn't afford to do what the guys that could were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of your heroes that you're talking about, how 25 years they learned these lakes, they paid somebody to learn those lakes.
Yeah.
They paid somebody to go mark brush piles. I know for a fact one particular angler paid $10,000 for every tournament to a local angler to go out and mark every single piece of structure that he requested and send it to him on an SD card.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was brush piles, whether it was rock points, whatever it was, he would pay $10,000 to a local guy. It was probably a guide to go out. And I know this for a fact because they told me that they did it. Like it was different back
And
then.
it wasn't against the rules.
It was not against the rules.
Money has always dominated the sport, man.
I mean,
Right?
yeah.
It's always played a factor.
And as long as you play with inside the rules, like you can't, again, it's,
I'm not mad.
I have no
the
issue
rule,
that those
that's
guys
the rule.
did that.
It's like when,
Wasn't
well, I guess he
illegal.
broke the rule. KVD got disqualified
Yeah.
because he had his marshal drive his boat
Yep.
while he stood up front looking for beds and stuff.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, he got DQ'd.
That's right.
Rules are in that giant rule book in these national organizations for a reason, right? It's like a warning label on the box. Somebody did it, so now we got to warn you about it.
And guys,
Same thing.
guys can't get away with it as much anymore
That's right.
because everyone can pull out their
Cameras.
cell phone.
Everybody's got a high resolution HD camera in their pocket.
I know.
I want to hear. So
Terry wanted to say,
Yeah.
Terry's jump. We're about almost to an hour here. Terry,
We're over.
we want you to kind of close this out. What are your thoughts on our conversation here?
I mean, I agree with everything that was being said here. I mean, negative comments obviously is a terrible part of the society we live in now with the, can hide behind a phone or a tablet computer. I mean, it just is what it is. And people have to learn to tone that out to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give Easton credit. I mean, the young man's deserving.
Mm-hmm.
If he played by the rules, and clearly he did,
Mm-hmm.
then, he deserves to win. He deserves to be recognized. That's just the way the sport's going to be from now on, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it has evolved over the years. I
Mhm.
mean, somewhere along the line, they went from having a topo map to a flasher,
Yeah,
right? It just,
that's right.
who was the first one to use the flashers? And oh my goodness, now they can see the fish, and
There it is.
but you weren't hearing about it because the technology wasn't there.
That's
to
right.
Talk about it. And, and so over time, just as things have evolved, and this is where we're at now with the forward facing sonar.
That's right.
That's where the technology is. And it's
Yep.
going to keep going.
Yep.
And you have to either embrace it or not. But if whoever wins anything and plays by the rules, then they deserve it.
I agree 100,000%. We weren't alive when the flat. I don't even know if I was alive when the flasher came out. Right.
you weren't.
And
I got it pulled up right there.
yeah.
The first flasher used in a bass tournament was the green box made by Low Rance, spinning wheel flasher system used by fishermen in the 60s. The bomber spin stick was used by Stan Sloan to win Ray Scott's first national bass tournament in 1960.
I bet you everybody else that didn't use the friggin' the
Bomber spin
the
stick.
bomber spin stick was saying he's a cheater or whatever the case may be. And look, man, like if you're jealous because you're not winning, then maybe you need to work on your game.
Get better.
Right? Get better, do better, right? And this is why we love. I personally like how the three major, let's just say the three major national organizations are different. They're so different, right? And they give that. It's like going to. Let me use a fast food restaurant. You can get a 1, 2, or 3 on the menu, right? You get your variety. What do you want the most? And if you're a diehard Bassmaster fan and you're pissed off at them for allowing forward-facing technology, that's okay. You can be mad at that. Like that's totally understandable. The MPFL's out there for you. Go check them out. But I think in the future we are going to see some more rule changes and things like that. If you start seeing states and things like that get involved, sure, you're going to see some changes.
So I've come around. I told Pete this over the last few months or so. Like I've actually come around to, I think the organization should ban it.
Yeah.
Not for the fishing.
I'm gonna
aspect of it.
be completely honest. Trey and I just had this conversation on Saturday when we took my boat, and I know I have taken a hard stance that I don't think it should be banned, but I've come around to the idea that maybe it should.
I mean, and the reason I have is I'm a big proponent of it. I love using it. I like the fact that we can find fish that they're not supposed to be, because that shows us that we were stupid and it was all.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
It was all confirmation bias, right? Is what we go out there, we try something, it worked. We got to try it again, it works. Okay, but maybe the biggest fish don't actually live on ledges. They live on individual stumps out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's pretty much proven scientifically with studies and with live scope now. But it really comes down to, I think there were less boaters and there's less co-anglers.
Yes,
all the other the sub tournaments,
right?
And that is going to drastically affect those organizations' bottom lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so while we used to always think, well, no, the biggest organizations would never fully ban it because of the sponsorship money. There's a lot of money involved with those other tournaments. That's the big money maker for a lot of these
Your
organizations.
feeder systems make you a lot of money. And if you're not getting the participation in your feeder systems, now look, Bass, they made the decision to ban the co-anglers in the opens now. Not ban, but not allow.
They got rid of co.
They didn't get rid of them.
Yeah, they got rid of them.
They don't allow them.
They axed them.
But you're seeing changes in those pro-am events, right? You had co-anglers showing up with forward-facing sonar units in the past because they thought that was the only way they can compete, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got big influencers on social media saying, I will never fish as a co-angler again because it was an absolutely terrible experience, right?
There are some guys I listened to recently were like, my buddies usually go out and fish this tournament, but I haven't been out on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not fully dialed in on this lake with forward-facing sonar, so I'm going to be donating my money.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to go out with my son and go have fun. He said I had more fun that day than I had
right.
I don't think I'll fish another tournament.
So maybe you're onto something. We are all huge advocates of technology. We think it's great, but maybe it has its place, but maybe not at the national level touring event.
And this is like another aspect for as we get close to wrapping up here is that you get rid of it, probably brings back or at least solves a lot of that division. And these guys who are really good at the young ones, they love fishing. It's their passion.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the young ones that came up without it.
Exactly. It's not going to matter to them. They're still going to keep doing what they're going to do. They're still going to keep competing.
I'm going to give my last input because I have come around to the idea of them banning it at some level in these organizations. And I don't think they should ban it at the elite level. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should ban it in every stage to get to the elites, to get to the BPT.
That I do agree with. We talked about
prove that you can fish without it, and then when you get to the big leagues, then you can have every competitive advantage and you can use this technology.
I agree with that.
I mean, we saw high school. What was it? MLF or Bass High School? MLF High School banned it, right?
They did.
You can use it in practice, but they cannot use
Bass
it in the tournament.
But MLF.
Yeah, they can't use it in tournament day. Like, if that's the complaint that these kids are coming up with it and they can't catch it without it,
there.
Show these dudes that are these children on the internet that are running around talking about how these kids can't catch fish without it, that they can catch fish without it. That's all you got to do. Prove it.
Yep. I agree.
Make them prove themselves to get there. And you kill the debate right there because you can't sit there. The biggest, this is the last thing I'm going to say, I promise. The biggest and most upsetting thing I saw was everybody said is if Easton Fothergill did not have forward-facing sonar, he doesn't win that tournament. You don't know that. You can't say that he only catches fish using forward-facing. Easton is very good with it, admittedly. But he won a tournament in the Opens last year where he didn't even turn it on.
Up using it
Mississippi River, right?
Yeah, he never even turned it on in Mississippi River, and he won the tournament.
Yeah.
He won an Open against 200 and some other boats, guys that were probably using it, and he never even turned it on. So he can catch them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, well, we're going to wrap this up. We had our awesome friend and sponsor of the fishing year, Terry Carpenter in here. Like we said, if you're in the North Carolina area, the central North Carolina area, Terry will get you squared away, get you the home of your dreams, the land that you're looking for. Bass is coming to the Pasquotank River, so look forward to that. So if you're saying, holy crap, there's some giant bass in North Carolina, you're absolutely right. Terry gets you squared away and gets you settled in here in North Carolina. We appreciate everyone joining us. We provided our opinions on this, diverse topic that we talk about with technology and making toxic comments on the internet. We just want everyone to do better. We want everyone to help us do what we always talk about, which is continuing to grow a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.